Hi, everyone. Welcome back to episode 52 of the Simply Whelmed Podcast. I'm your host, Colin, and I'm joined by my co-host, Chris.
How we doing, everybody?
We're just a couple of best friends who are passionate about all things pop culture. If you're looking for lukewarm takes on movies, video games, TV shows, or even the occasional comic, then we've got the show for you.
That's fucking right.
Dude, I did that all in one breath.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I guess you can do in one breath.
Is that a sex joke? Is it a jab at your own stamina that it would only take one breath to... Anyway.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
A little column A, a little column B.
Come on.
This week we're talking about one of our most anticipated video games of the year.
Yes.
Sons of the Forest. Say it slower. Sons of the Forest.
Back here choking myself.
Slower.
Straighten up.
You're just choking yourself. I'm chopping trees. We're doing things a bit more like fast and loosey-goosey this week. It might be a little structured, but we are taking a break from the grind.
That's right.
To record this shit, so y'all bitches just better fucking deal with it.
Nope.
News going to be a bit light.
Nope.
All right, we got to talk about the new Lord of the Rings movies. An It prequel series.
Okay.
The newest member of the MCU.
Okay.
E3 might be on the way out.
Oh.
And EA actually seems to care what gamers think.
Nah.
Which is bizarre.
Micropay.
No. We're going to start at the top here, if you're ready.
No, I'm so ready.
All right, so the new Lord of the Rings movies are in the works at Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema. So the studios have like a multi-year pact with the Embracer Group, which is like a Swedish gaming company. And they, for some reason, hold the rights to the films.
Oh, word?
To like the film property.
Sure.
So the like whole property, like the whole Lord of the Rings properties are very close to entering the public domain, like 20 years.
Okay.
So they're rapidly losing value, right? Because I can just wait 20 years and I can make it without paying somebody.
Right.
But for some reason, the rights are like super split up. Or like Warner Brothers owned the game rights, I think, still. Because they made like the Shadow of Mordor games and things like that, and they're making a Gollum game. And then the film rights are for some reason with the Embracer Group. And then Amazon has very limited rights to like make the TV show that they're making. Where basically it was like, if it hasn't been in, I forget how it was broken down, but basically like, if it was in a book and not on screen, they can use it. And it's like, all right, you know? And so, yeah, that's so weirdly divided up. But yeah, so Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema are going to be making new Lord of the Rings movies. Now, I don't know if it's going to be like, are they going to just do remakes? You know what I mean? Like, are they doing the books again? Or are they going to make movies set in that world? But again, with how weird the rights are, they might not be allowed to like take much liberty. It might just be like, we're going to make the Lord of the Rings movies again. Which I really don't. That seems like it's not needed. Like, I mean, granted, they're like, 25-year-old movies, but they don't show their age much.
No.
And from like a fan satisfaction standpoint, I think you're going to be really hard pressed to.
Yeah, you're going to have you got some big shoes to fill.
Like the Peter Jackson movies are phenomenal. And I just, I don't see any road that they take where it's not a failure, Now, granted, I'm judging it way before it's come out, right?
Sure.
And, like I said, I don't know the full deets on, what that looks like for them. If it is a rehashing or what. But, yeah, you got some big old shoes to fill, and I just hope it doesn't trip them,
I've only seen the first one. I'm still working my way through them, but the first one was really, really good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, that's some good shit, dude. Like, you got to watch the second one.
I think it's funny how it all starts because an old man and a hobbit are smoking weed together.
Yeah, they're hitting the peace pipe, blowing smoke rings, but, whatever, man. And what's funny to me is, like, it was a big passion project for Peter Jackson, and then, like, he did not want to make the Hobbit movies, and then they were like, come on, Peter.
I heard the Hobbit movies weren't
They're not that good. Yeah, you can tell that they were not a passion project for him, It's like, man, these are not the same. But yeah, I don't know, man. It is a weird, like, I guess it's just going to happen. I mean, it's inevitable.
Yeah, we'll
it's
see it when
happen.
it gets here, I guess.
Yeah, it's inevitable. It's going to happen, especially with, like I said, the public domain being so close to closing in on it. That here in the next few decades, we're going to see a lot of Lord of the Rings property stuff.
I am
inevitable. And then, sticking with Warner Brothers, HBO Max orders an It prequel series that's going to be called Welcome to Derry. And it is from Andy Muschietti, who made the two It movies. Let me see here. I've got my screen pulled up here, but I've got an ad.
I know that there is a bunch of lore behind Pennywise.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, he's been there for decades. So I would be curious to see maybe, like, a new cast or new characters. But maybe set, like, earlier.
Yeah, and so like I said, it is called Welcome to Derry, right? And so I'm getting most of this from Hollywood Reporter. They say that Andy Muschietti and Barbara Muschietti, who made the two screen adaptations of It and It Chapter 2, are on the project. Andy Muschietti is going to direct multiple episodes, including the first episode. There's not a lot of creative details, except that the series will be a prequel to the It films, promising to, quote, expand the vision of the movies. Yeah. So the quote from the Muschiettis here says, as teenagers, we took turns reading chapters of Stephen King's It until the thick paperback fell to pieces. It is an epic story that contains multitudes, far beyond what we could explore in our It movies. We can't wait to share the depth of Steve's novel in all its heart, humor, humanity, and horror. And then I'm excited for the story of Derry, Maine's most haunted city, is continuing, and I'm glad Andy Muschietti is going to be overseeing the frightening festivities, along with a brain trust, including his talented sister, Barbara. This is from Stephen King. Red balloons all around. So, obviously everybody knows the story of It. And then they say, to be able to return to the world of my all-time favorite horror novel and help build upon the singularly brilliant cinematic universe created by Andy and Barbara is more than the opportunity of a lifetime. It's a dream come true, or maybe more appropriately, a nightmare, said Fuchs, which he's writing. I think he worked on It Chapter 2 with them, and it's also one of the main writers on this series. And then, let's see, we're thrilled to continue this iconic franchise with the brilliant Andy and Barbara Muschietti, Jason Fuchs, and Brad Caleb Kane. This is from Sarah Aubrey, who's the head of the original content at HBO Max. This prequel will expand the It storytelling canvas and bring fans deeper into the terrifying, mesmerizing town of Derry. So I think, Pennywise obviously was the star of those movies, with old baby Skarsgård in there, Bill. He's doing really well right now.
He killed him.
And yeah, he's great in that movie as my God, he really melted between his acting and then the makeup. They did a really good job of that's Pennywise.
Scary.
It's a scary clown. My sister's terrified of clowns. So
Excellent.
Gotta get her to watch this with me. Yep. There's not even that much clown in it. It's literally about Pennywise. It's not even that much clown in it. You gotta watch it with me.
It's just killer clowns from outer space.
I told her that about the first It, which, I mean, he's really not in it that much. And when he is, he's most of the time not the clown. Right?
From the remake or the original?
The originals.
Okay.
Where, he's he's showing up as, the ghoul or the whatever, right? Yeah, whatever scares them most.
Right.
But, the cold open of that movie is, the sewer scene, And she's Corey, my brother-in-law, was yeah, she didn't watch that movie. She was just eyes closed the whole time, trembling and puking, because he's just, what a lovely boat.
Yeah.
Would you like it back?
Do you want
she's
it back?
She's over there gagging. She's so freaked out. And I'm I don't know, man. There was grand total of 30 minutes of It in that movie. But
I remember I saw Killer Clowns from Outer Space at a really, really young age.
That's literally the movie that made my sister afraid of clowns.
And that made me scared of clowns for a bit. I grew out of it, but
well, we aren't all adults,
No, that's not what I'm saying.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Oh. Moving on.
Moving on here. So, like I said, we got our newest member of the MCU, and it is in the form of Steven Yeun. I'm
cool with that.
Yeah. So, obviously, he's joining the Thunderbolts, and everybody knows him from I think mostly from The Walking Dead. But he's had a really decent streak where he was in that, obviously, and then once he went off of there, he kind of did his own thing in some indie movies. And he's in
Invincible
as the lead, as well as gas. Oh, I got dizzy. I got to breathe better.
Just keel over.
Yeah, just focus. Slump into the mic. I can't think of the name of the movie that he did. That was like, I believe he got nominated for an Oscar for it. And it was about like Korean American immigrants in like pretty, I don't want to say early America, but early, like mid 1900s. And in it apparently it's like a fully in Korean with subtitles, and it was apparently a really good movie. He got nominated for an Oscar for it, I believe. But yeah, we don't really know who he's going to be, but he's premiering in the Thunderbolts, and the whole like, oh, I wonder who he's going to be, comes from the fact that it's apparently going to be a not insignificant role who will show up in things other than the Thunderbolts.
Ooh.
So it's, that's good. We got like a potentially multiple appearance role for Steven Yeun, who I think deserves more face time,
That's such a hard thing, is like, because since he did The Walking Dead for such a long time, those actors, and it happened to Mark Hamill too, real bad for a little bit of like, you look at him and it's like, that's Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. But you figure Mark Hamill had a lot of success in voice acting. And Steven Yeun does a good job in Invincible. So, now granted, I've never heard him do like a voice other than his own. Right. You know what I mean? Where I think that's a lot of Mark Hamill's strength, is he does a good...
He's able to do so many different voices.
But maybe there's something there for him as a voice actor. But I'm just excited to see him get a good break here. And depending on what the character is, you know, maybe it'll really expand out his like brand recognition as an actor. Let's see here. Scooting right along. Yeah, E3, not doing well. So this is kind of I don't want to say an old story, but it's a story that had kind of been reported by IGN as like an exclusive a few while back here, back at the it looks like end of January. But the update is that Nintendo has officially confirmed some of it. So coming from IGN, like I said, back at the end of January, E3, this is their first physical E3 in 4 years. Yeah. Because of, COVID and doing it digital and all that. And the report from IGN was that, the rumors from very reliable sources was that none of the big three platform holders would be there. So no Sony, no Microsoft, no Nintendo. And like, it seems kind of shitty. It's like the CEO of Xbox, Phil Spencer, said that they would be timing their showcase. So like they're like my Xbox showcase or whatever. With E3 at a moment. So like the quote was, convenient for press and even consumers, meaning that they're probably going to be doing their showcase around the same time as E3, because press will already be there. Right. People will already be engaged with, we're going to be getting gaming news and all that, but they're not going to be associated with E3. And I don't think Sony's given any official decision on that, but the update was that Nintendo did officially come out and be like, yeah, we're not going to be at E3.
Wow.
And yeah, Sony dropped out in 2019 and didn't have anything to show there. But I think a big part of this has just been, we haven't had like a proper E3 in 4 years. And all of those services have their own, like, Sony does the State of Plays. Nintendo does the Nintendo Directs. I forget what Microsoft calls theirs. I think they just call them showcases. Yeah. And so they've all had their own success with, we'll just periodically show you what we got. And in the summer, we'll have our big, this is like the State of Play that you can't miss, or the Xbox Showcase that you can't fucking miss, right? And it's like,
I don't know, man. That makes me a little sad, because I really liked the E3, because, it was a time that we can all get together, and whether it's, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, whatever, an indie game, it's still, it brings us all together, and we're able to look at this, and it's something I always wanted to go to.
Well, and so maybe I think what you run into is you will probably have, like, maybe Ubisoft will be there, EA, some of the few, like, publishers that are still independent and not owned by one of the big developers, I guess, or the big companies, where Nintendo or Microsoft have gobbled them up.
That's my thing. Do you think E3 is still going to go through with it, even though they don't have those three big?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they've already committed.
It's true.
You know, I mean, if they ever go the way of, you know, the mammoth, I think they'll just go, all right, well, 2026 will be our last one, you know, and have like a big last hurrah. But I really think they'll try and evolve the process before they just go, well, sorry, guys.
Yeah,
you know
I guess this is it.
Yeah. But like I said, you still got the independent publishers that could fill in. Maybe that gives them more opportunity to shine.
Well, lately, you know, independent, you know, developers have been booming.
Yeah.
I mean, like with Stray.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know, who knows? But I do think, it's part of the side effect of how powerful the three big ones are right now. Of like, we can just speak directly to PlayStation fans or Xbox fans, right? And then there you go. And you know, also you can't shake away the fact that Summer Game Fest from Jeff Keighley does really well, and he has a lot of in with like those companies.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, he's like best buds. He does a podcast with Hideo Kojima. You know, and it's like he's just maybe got a better
get good
relationship. You know, he might be better at that aspect of the thing.
Sure.
And I think a big part of that is he probably allows them a lot more flexibility in what they show, when they show it, things like that.
Sure.
And I do wonder how much of like if it's a ticket price thing of like, well, Xbox, we can hold a live showcase ourselves and draw an audience and charge a ticket price at the door and take 100% of the ticket, right? Whereas if you're doing E3, I'm sure E3 takes a big chunk off the top.
Yeah.
And I don't know that E3 as like we're going to E3 is as much of a draw of like, we're going to the Sony showcase. Right. You know what I mean? And so now it turns into, why are we paying you, you know, to be here? As opposed to, now you should be paying us to be here. Right? And so I do wonder if that's a big part of it. Just, well, we could just do it ourselves, you know?
I guess that makes sense.
And, you know, like you said, it is kind of sad because it's like, yeah, man, I remember, like, oh, fuck, you know.
Yeah, this
like
tuning in.
This week I'm going to be seeing what's going on, you know. And, it is kind of sad to see it move on like that, but maybe we'll still get some version of that with the different showcases. But I mentioned it up top there. EA is seemingly asking the gamers, like, what do you want to see next? So, Dead Space, the remake, did really well for them. And it had positive, like, monetary, you know, it did well monetarily, but then also had really good reception. I loved it. I still haven't beat it, but I'm having a really good time with it. It was one of those where I'm like, fuck, this just feels good.
Right.
You know, Dead Space 2 was a really solid game. Dead Space 3, I think, needs some work. But they're asking fans, like, through surveys and stuff, how interested would you be in a similar remake of Dead Space 2? 2011, and they give you the, you know, not all interested, a little interested, somewhat, you know, and then they did the same for Dead Space 3. And apparently, so I haven't finished it, like I said, apparently the ending of the Dead Space remake is somewhat different from the original ending. And so people are like, you know, it'd be really cool is if they followed that changed threat, you know, that changed ending and went, okay, so then what does a Dead Space 2 look like with that ending? Ooh. And then you could do the same thing with Dead Space 3, right? And kind of get like a whole new story, out of this.
Arc it out.
And I think that'd be really exciting, only because Dead Space 3, like I said, was a really weak link for me, but they had some interesting stuff going for it. That was the one that was co-op I told you about. And I think leaned a little too hard into the action and not enough into the horror that made Dead Space Dead Space for me. So I think if this developer, Motive, who I think the other thing that they really worked on was the flight simulator Star Wars game. I forget what that was called. Squadrons. That was their other like major game, but
I heard it did not
do
well.
It was fine, but they did really well on this. Now, granted, they had a good base to start from, you know. But if they can continue that,
take it and run.
Take it and run. And I do like that EA's going, all right, people like this.
Yeah. Do you want
want more? And I'm sure. I mean, there's a monetary thing there. Is there interest here? Right. All right. Cool. We'll throw money at Motive to do it again. Right. Yeah. But hey, if they're going to ask the fans and the fans respond and like it, go for it.
You have a good opportunity. Don't
fuck this up, EA. But I do think EA is probably looking around at like Activision getting gobbled up and all that. And they're like, all right, we got to start putting in some work here. We got to revalue our brand here. Even if it's a case of, why is nobody asking us to be bought? You know what I mean?
Right.
And pretty soon it's going to be hard to sell, right? And so we got to drive our value up. So we got to start putting in some fucking muscles here. And I'm down with that. Fine, play the game, baby.
I did see that there is in the make for a new Star Wars game coming out.
Yeah, from Ubisoft.
Mm-hmm. No, is it not from EA?
No, EA doesn't have the exclusive rights to the Star Wars games anymore. That contract with Disney ended. Now they still make games for Star Wars, but they don't have the monopoly on it.
But it was like, you customize your own character and you get to choose if you're a Sith.
I think we talked about it on here before.
I think we do, but I just keep seeing more and more stuff of it come up.
Of like it being an open world and But again, that when they compare themselves to things like No Man's Sky or Starfield, I'm like, oh, easy, because No Man's Sky is good now, but it was a hard road to get here. I pre-ordered No Man's Sky. I was pretty bummed. I gotta tell you, I was pretty bummed. But
this is the biggest piece of dog shit.
Yeah, but they've done a really good job of sticking with it, and
they have.
And
they just had another big update.
Yeah, I forget what it's called, but they added like a robot companion and a bunch of VR stuff.
Fractured. No.
I don't know. Tempest.
Yeah.
I think it was Tempest.
Yeah.
No, Tempest was the Phasmophobia update.
I downloaded that.
Did you?
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah. One of the cursed objects is a monkey's paw. Do you know what the monkey's paw is?
Do we want to play Phasmophobia?
Maybe. Sometimes. No. Do you know what the monkey's paw is?
No, that's the monkey's fist. I'm thinking of the knot.
Yeah. So the monkey's paw is this like cursed object in the game, but in like real world lore, it's the idea of like it's a wish granting thing, but there's always a catch, right? So like I don't know.
I wish to be the richest man in the world, but
right,
the catch is
the catch is you've earned your money by something, right? I'm not creative enough right now, but so like one of the things I saw was you could go.
I wish for a back rub. Maybe a bear gives you the back rub.
I wish for a back rub, and you're getting rubbed with sandpaper. It's like shit. But there's a subreddit called The Monkey's Paw, I think, on Reddit. And that was the whole thing, was somebody puts in a wish, and then all the comments give you the butt. But I saw on TikTok, I think, something about that Monkey's Paw update. And somebody was like, the things you can wish were like, I wish to see the ghost. But it makes the ghost start hunting right in front of you. Oh. But so if it's like, I got to get a picture of this thing.
Yeah,
I wish to see the ghost. And the ghost just, in front of you, like,
I'm going to be so scared, dude.
And then, like, you can say, I wish, I think it was something effective, like, I wish to be free or something like that. And it'll open the front door, but your walk speed is like slowed way down. So you're like, fuck.
How long does it last?
I don't know. I couldn't tell from the video. And like one of the other things that she said was like, I wish the ghost was trapped, I think. And so like it shut the door on the ghost and it was stuck in a room, but it also locked the front door. So you're still trapped inside.
Sure.
But at least you can get away and hide. Right. And so it's like, okay, that's kind of about nice.
Just thinking about it.
Yeah. And then Monkey's Paw looks really creepy because like when you make the wish, the fist like crinkles shut, and it's all like rigor mortis, so just closing up. And like,
I remember the last time we got in, there was a huge update. It changed the layout of everything and all that. Yeah, and there's runes and stuff in the staging area, and they're kind of playing on that of like in the patch notes and stuff. They're like, who knows what that could be, And so I'm wondering if they're laying the groundworks for bigger updates further down the road. But I'm all for games that constantly update themselves. I think it's a good model. And I have a VR too. I could run Phasmophobia on my VR. Yeah. That might terrifying. Be too scary for me. Yeah, you pee your pants. I would shit and come. Huh? You what now? All right, baby. I come when I'm startled. It's like a self-defense mechanism. Taking me to a scary movie is the worst. You're a dog. Yeah. Let's see here. All right, last thing leading into Sons of the Forest. We'll start right off here. Sons of the Forest sold 2 million copies in the first 24 hours of its early access release, and had something like, let me find the number here. Oh yeah, 350,000 concurrent players. So 350,000 people were playing Sons of the Forest at the same time on Steam. And we can kind of talk about that. Yeah, we can. So we waited. Yeah. So one of the drawbacks of them going,
we're going to make this thing early release because it's not quite where we want it to be, but we don't want to delay it any further. And I can see where there's some work to be done, but
and they said even in the top corner, like of the main menu, like this is when the next update is. And it was like 18 days.
Because you never played The Forest when it was early access, did you? You only played it as the finished project.
Correct.
So I owned it for a long time because it released in 2013 and wasn't at full release until 2017 or 2018.
Uh-huh.
And they did the same thing. They had like a counter of like this many days until our update. And I really like that because it kind of gives you okay, they're working on it, right? There's going to be new content, right? Whether it be a big or a small update, And I do think at one point they did survey questions in the like main menu as well of like, what would you like us to prioritize, things like that, which I like that, make it a very like cooperative development basically with the players. But honestly, they've talked about that this early release would maybe be 6 months to a year.
Oh wow!
And so that's not bad. Now I do wonder how fast they'll be working because I do think there's quite a bit of stuff that needs added.
Sure. I hope it's closer to 6 months than a year.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I kind of hope it's closer to a year before it's full because that means that they're going to be putting more into it.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But so because it was early access, Steam has a rule against pre-ordering early access games to avoid scams, right? So that I don't pre-order a game that never happens, right?
The day before.
Yeah. But because of that, they had like a post that was like, available in X amount of hours. And it was looking like, all right, noon Eastern time in the U.S. was going to be our shot. Like, I was laying in bed. I fully showered. I was bathed, and I'm just laying there air drying under the fan.
You're getting yourself ready.
Yeah. I was prepared, I was washing my butthole. And I was scrolling on my phone, waiting, and it was like noon hit, and I was like, well, here I go. I'm going in. I get up and I would go in there and I sit down at the computer, I turn it on, and I'm like, I'll go down and do the dishes while it installs, and it was just not available. And I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this, And it said available within the next hour, and I'm like, all right, well, I'll go down and do the dishes, and I've got the app on my phone for Steam. I'll keep checking, and I can remotely install it from my phone, because fucking technology is incredible.
Yep. Nothing.
It made us wait the full hour until 1 o'clock. And like the subreddit was losing its mind and the Discord was like
wild.
Just intensely meme, and I was like, oh my God. And finally it was like, it's actually live. Like, let's get in there. Yeah. And they crashed Steam like
hard
within the minute. It was hard. Like at 101, you couldn't get to the main page of Steam.
You couldn't do nothing.
But if they sold 2 million copies in 24 hours, how many of those were in the first hour, of everybody just trying to buy it, right? And it just crashed the site.
Say what? You found the loophole that you told me about
going to the Steam website and not the desktop app. And people were I didn't find that. It was on Reddit. Somebody was like, straight up, I went to the desktop or to the website and it loaded much better than the app. But I'd get in there quick because I don't know how long that's going to last, right? Yeah. And so I was like, and I got in there and I bought it, and like we were getting mad.
Yeah,
I mean, like, this is horse shit. I'm waiting. I took time. I was on vacation, and I strategized the vacation that I would be on vacation at the time that it went on release, and so I was like, this is fucking horse shit. And I had stuff to do that day that I was like, I was hoping to get a lot of playtime in before it got there. With a box of scraps in a cave. So I was like, I got that figured out. Got it installed. It installed pretty quick.
I don't even want to talk about
what happened to you, bub.
I waited a year for this game.
Yeah, and more.
I mean, yeah. And it crashed. It wouldn't. I got it to download. Steam kept crashing, and then I went to
fought your way through it.
Yeah, and I went through, and you said, I have I used at the time an Acer laptop that I had. It's going on 5 years now, and you said as it was loading up, watch it just crash and not work.
I was like, what if it doesn't run on your laptop?
And I was like, blasphemy.
Yeah, don't say that to me. Old Bessie here, don't count her out,
And it wouldn't.
It didn't run on that.
It tried for a minute, my computer's just...
Sounds like a chainsaw running. Sounds like the neighbors blowing snow,
holding on to my desk, and then it just kept crashing, and then I just couldn't play it, and I was so defeated. I mean... to the point where I just didn't accept that as an answer, and I went
and bought a gaming desktop,
and bought just a whole ass new PC and curved monitor and the LED lights to it, and runs like a dream.
Yeah, I do. And you got it on a pretty decent budget.
I did,
like right in the pocket where I told you you'd be.
Yeah, it's got the RTX in it and everything like that, right where I wanted it to be.
Yeah,
paid for half of it on my own, other half on credit, so I can still build that up.
Yeah,
got on like that 12 months interest free. So I'm
you're set, baby.
Cash money, dude.
Yeah.
So, kudos to me.
Yes, and all of that brings us to we played it for like 10 hours.
Hard, so hard,
like so long that my foot swelled. Like.
Like,
I was like,
we
played
it. I mean,
I had to put compression socks on like an old man. I was like, this isn't good. Like, I came downstairs and I was like, well, that's not normal. I was like, well, I guess I better take a break.
The hemorrhoids were poking out of my ass that day, man. I mean, I was sitting in my
Why
gaming
you gotta say that?
You want me to lie?
No, I guess not.
But I mean, what we played, we were able to get that in at what? Probably 2, 3
that we got it installed.
Yeah. And then what we played it that one day.
Played it that night because you had to get the laptop, the PC set up and all that. Yeah. So we played from like.
We could play a couple hours.
From like 9 o'clock to like 1 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And it was like, all right. And you're like, oh, I better get to bed. I'm getting sleepy. And I'm like, I thought we were gonna fucking grind, but all right, And then the next day it was like 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock on the dot. I think it was 3:15. I was like, at 3:15 we're going in, and I came downstairs at like 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
if not more. Was it later than that? I think it was like midnight.
We played for 9 hours.
Yeah,
straight.
Yeah, so it was midnight.
Yeah, nonstop.
Yeah, it was midnight, and I was like.
Yeah,
and I came down and I sat down on the couch and I went to stretch my toes and like my right foot like just
static. It's like TV static.
Yeah, I was like, well, that's not fucking good. And I looked down and it was like kind of swollen. I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm gonna get a blood clot. We gotta take a break.
I remember because we grinded the fuck. We burned through a lot of the story.
Yeah, we're doing a lot. Yeah. We built a whole ass house. Built a whole ass wall around that house.
Yep.
Like a big defensive wall.
Do we want to start like just chronological order from like where we hopped in and just kind of move?
Well, let's talk about first of all the big let's rate the thing. Yeah, let's rate it like we normally do.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of a weird thing to spoil, so we'll just rate it and then just talk about it freely.
Yeah,
because I don't know what somebody would consider a spoiler.
We're not at a point I feel like where we're spoiling anything. We're pretty
sure. Because also I don't know what people consider a spoiler, whether it be like features, whether it be, you know what I mean? So I
feel
just
like if anything, it's like be strictly story,
but it's not a heavily story game. So I guess we're
good.
We'll just rate the thing.
Yeah,
and then,
I guess emphasize there may be spoilers if.
Well, we're rating it, so anything after this is spoilers.
That's true.
So how do we rate stuff around here, Bob?
Of course, you can always be overwhelmed, which means you thoroughly enjoyed the video game or the movie, whatever it is we were rating. Mm-hmm. You could be underwhelmed, which means. You wasn't crazy about it, your expectations weren't quite met, or you can always meet right in the middle and be simply whelmed.
Dude, baby, I'm overwhelmed.
Yes, I'm overwhelmed.
I'm so overwhelmed.
Yeah. Like, it's so fucking good.
Yeah.
Like,
First of all, I mean, so graphics, so good.
Superb.
Like, very beautiful. Like, I don't have the best machine yet. It's about a 5.5-year-old PC. Mm-hmm. But, so I'm not running any fancy graphics on it. But I'm playing it on, I have a lot of settings on high and some on low and medium to kind of balance it out, And it's a beautiful game.
I'm going to tweak with it tonight a little bit. Maybe, because I got the RTX and I'm going to bump up the graphics a little bit.
But, just from the terrain design, they did a really good job of making it feel much more like an actual place.
Yeah, much more nature and involved, I guess.
Yeah, where even the running through the forest, there's a lot of underbrush and shrubbery and foliage and things like that. That it feels much more real, and alive. And there's times where God damn, I can't see through this shit.
Yeah, I don't know where the fuck I am. Or, getting lost in the forest.
And I will say one of the things I don't like about the terrain and all that, it feels kind of empty.
Sure.
It's a large map, and it does kind of feel large for the sake of being large.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping maybe that's one of the things they work on is like filling more, even if it's just like
more stuff.
Even if it's just like lore stuff of like, you know, finding, you know, because like there's overgrown golf carts there that we've found where we're like, oh, well, that's interesting, you know. And so, you know, even just adding more stuff like that.
Like a little maintenance center that's overgrown and stuff like that you can go into.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to find more things like that. Yeah. Different villages.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see that there's the tribes, the cannibal tribes on the island. There's different like factions, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say we did see for the most part, a lot of the tribes are similar, but we did see one that I thought was pretty interesting, where it had all the radios around it playing music.
Yeah, where it seemed ritualistic.
Yeah.
Now I want to see some of the differences between them being a bit more pronounced. Even if it's like in their architecture, you know, because the camps feel pretty like I wouldn't necessarily be able to visually go, oh, this is different from the other one. You know what I mean? They all feel kind of the same. And so I would like to see a bit more difference between the tribes.
I will say the one thing I did like about the characters, and I did point it out when we were first playing, they do look different. They do look like actual people. Some of them are wearing clothes.
Some of them are wearing clothes.
Some of them are having armor.
Wearing bone armor.
One of them had the grass armor on, so he's a little more hidden. Yeah. One of them had like the creepy armor of the mutants and some of the other characters in there. So I mean, it did feel a little more diverse.
Visually different.
Yeah, as far as the NPCs themselves.
And like the thing that I've seen coming up a lot on TikTok that people are like, yo, what? Is some of the interactions between the tribes people, which like, I mean, we ran into it too. We're like, you know, set the scene. We snuck up on this village. It was a small, I'd call it a camp almost. And there was just a few guys, and we beat them to death, you know.
Dude,
with like
murdered them.
Yeah, we assassinated them
with our tactical
axes. Yeah, just chopped these guys with hatchets. And then we're like, all right, well, let's get some shit, you know. We're looting. We're looting. We're raiding this camp.
Picking up tape, going, oh, nice.
Oh, shit, some duct tape. We just killed 3 men for this duct tape.
We're over here fucking TLC American Pickers.
Yeah. Oh, shit, I could restore this right now. American Restoration, you know. And then we just turn around because I hear a noise from one of the cannibals. Yeah. I turn around, I'm like, oh shit, you want some more? You know? I turn around, and no, it is a female cannibal knelt down holding one of them that we'd killed, crying. And I was like, oh no. And like we crouched down and we're like observing.
We're hiding in the bushes looking at her like,
ooh. Yeah, I'm like, this is our scene. Yeah, if they had children, we just created a supervillain. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh no. And then
shit, it's the cops.
Yeah, and then one of them came out of the side and was like, at us, and like comes running to attack us. Like, well,
oh fuck.
We're like, oh, well, back at it. So we start beating the shit out of that guy, kill him.
He's acting and whacking.
And then we just run over and we kill the mourning widow. You know, her husband's blood is still hot. And we just chopped her head off, and then we're like
let's
we better get out of here. We better make like a tree and get out of here.
This isn't going to look good for publicity.
Yeah,
we better bounce.
Yeah, wipe our prints. We got to get out of here. And we're like, we are monsters. We just committed a war crime, I think, you know. And we're like, everybody wins, everybody loses, you know. Somebody.
What is it from Nacho Libre? Can't win them all.
Yeah, you know, some people win, some people lose. You know, I guess we won. And so we flood the scene of that crime, and that was kind of interesting to see that dynamic of like, because it stopped us in our tracks, and it did make us go, oh shit, are we bad people? Like,
are we the bad guys?
Yeah, are we the baddies?
Are we the baddies?
And I will say, I was watching somebody play it. His name's Farkit. For anybody that knows Sons of the Forest, he's like the YouTuber for the Forest.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I kind of want to see what he's got going on, you know, because he's a pro at this game, right? So I was watching him, and he made an effort to not attack early on. And when you first run into them, you know, like it's kind of exploratory for the cannibals of like, all right, what the fuck's this guy's deal, you know? And they come down, they check you out. And they ran away from him. Like they came up, checked him out a little bit, kept their distance. He didn't have a weapon out or anything. And then they kind of fucked off. They're like, I got to get out of here. And so I thought that was interesting that like they're not immediately aggressive necessarily. We were like, let's find a village to kill, you know?
Yeah, we were. That was like our first thing. We're like,
let's go kill
let's
something.
Get some loot.
Yeah.
Who's hungry?
So I think there's something to be said there of like, and apparently the more aggressive you are, the more aggressive their like encroachment is.
Which makes sense, man. They pull up on us hard.
Like with big fat dudes that are naked and busting down our walls. And they've got red cheeks. Look like baboons.
Dude, yeah, well, their whole body's painted red.
Yeah, painted red.
Like with war paint. And some of them will have like the gold masks on and stuff like that. And
we're popping noggins, dude. We've got pistols.
We grinded pretty hard, and with the GPS, you can find these trackers, and it's you find out it's of your other teammates, and all the other teammates are dead. But in the raft, you find the pistol, and then in the cave, after you find all the other trackers, you end up finding the shovel.
Yeah, which lets you dig up somebody's grave to get
one
the
of your
shotgun.
teammates' grave. Yeah. And so we have both of those now.
Yeah, we haven't found the crossbow yet.
Yeah, we haven't found the crossbow. But yeah, when we got attacked by, it was like
a large raiding party.
Two big guys that are painted red, and then just
several,
all those,
normal, I guess standard raiders,
And we blew them to bits.
Yeah.
We did not hold back with our ammunition.
No, we were just, let's turn into a first-person shooter.
They'll charge you, and it's not like you shoot them and they fall where they stand. They'll launch back.
Yeah, with a shotgun.
Yeah.
But I shot one in the gut with the pistol, and he clutched his gut and kind of stumbled around a little bit. And
And it's just,
and then he fell down on his back and was kind of rolling around, and he kind of stood back up, and I'm like, please stop, just stay down, And I shot him again in the torso because I was, not trying to be accurate. I'm trying to put him down, and I shot him in the chest, and he didn't die again. He fell down and was gargling, and then eventually died, and I was like, well, that didn't feel great, honestly. So I like that aspect, honestly, of these cannibals are alive.
Yeah.
They feel a lot less like monster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They feel less monster. They feel more like human characters. And they did kind of lean into that a bit.
Which I like. I think well, not all the time, because sometimes I do. I'm going in there with a shotgun and pop, 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 pop. And I'm like, I'm a monster. Because they're all...
trying to drag their buddies to safety. That's the other thing I saw is if one's wounded but not dead, they'll try and get him out of there.
Where are you going? What is that? What is that?
And you run over, and I've seen them trying to steal our logs while we're working. Where they're like, "Give us that fucking wood, you thief!" And they're like,
"Come over, chop their head off with an axe.
Chop their head off, burn the body, put their head on a pike,
one off the others."
Yeah, I mean, literally, you do. You put up effigies. You're like, "Yeah, stay back."
Yeah.
Yeah,
but we just
you're next
with our base. We've fully gone a year now.
Yeah, we're in. Well, not quite. We're in spring, and we started in summer, so we're almost there.
But yeah, we fully surrounded our base with a wall, and we have. I think it's a small base, but it's a nice. It ain't much, but it's honest work.
It's honest, yeah.
But we took a lot of time on that.
Yeah.
And then I see people on TikTok, and they're having
building mansions.
3-4 story homes, and I'm like, we have this little log cabin, and it took us a while.
It took us a couple hours to make this log cabin, but by God, I'm proud of it.
I will say you definitely took the reins. I'm typically the builder.
Yeah.
And I was not messing around with this. I think there's a little too much physics in it for, what I'm used to.
So on the one hand, it's kind of Lego-like of just put the pieces together.
Yeah.
Right? So in the first game, you basically laid down a blueprint and then just brought the log to it and pressed E and it snapped into place. Whereas this is much more freeform of put the log where you want the log to go.
Yeah.
I do think it's not quite as intuitive as it could be. I get that they're going for realism of okay, here's how you would build this cabin using these logs of this is the support structure. This is that. But I shouldn't have to figure out the key command to do what I know I can do or should be able to do. Where it's okay, I've got to make this little swooping maneuver to pick that log up and rest it down.
My one problem, and maybe it's something that you can do in the free build, it still feels very boxy in that sense of I expected maybe...
You want curved walls?
Yeah.
I bet you can. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't know about the ground foundation, so that's the only thing.
Yeah, that was tough.
I think a part of that is because from I mean, how many round log cabins have you seen?
That's true.
You know what I mean? You're using straight edge,
or maybe not necessarily a round, but what is it when a room and the window itself is a little bit extended out and it's in that half octagon?
Like a bay window type deal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what if something like that? I feel because with the quarter, because you can cut logs into you have a full log, half log, and then a quarter log. If you do that with a quarter log,
like that aspect of breaking down the wood.
I like that too, especially once you place it up and then you're like, okay, now I want a window, and you can chop it in half and you push it out. And that was another thing I wanted to talk about, is because both of us made a lot of points in it. The animations that go into it, as far as like when
really
you cook
nice.
fish and then eat it, or making arrows.
The crafting is nice.
It's very.
And I don't know if you noticed this. The more you craft something, the faster you get at it.
Yes, I remember when I was making. So to set the scene, we were
when you were making all the bombs.
Yeah, we were in a cave, and there's these mutants there that are like, they have legs but no arms.
Yeah, their torso is basically, it almost looks like a zipper.
Yeah,
except the teeth of the zipper are like fingers, and then the opening of the zipper is like a mouth.
Yeah, but it's, top to bottom.
Yeah.
And it spits like this weird goo that's sticky.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really affect you.
It does a lot of damage. Not the goo, but the creature itself.
Yeah, the creature.
I think they're called fingers.
Fingers?
Yeah. That's what I've been calling them.
There was 2 of them, and they didn't quite see us. And so I was like, all right, Colin, hang back. I got a shit ton of vodka. And you're like, what? I'm over here
making Molotovs. Yeah.
Fucking making 6 of them, and then you're over here chucking nades, like already killing them.
Yeah, they're just bombing them.
I was like, all right, we'll save them, and we did save them for when we were later exploring. They came to good use.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think as far as like the story of where we're at currently.
Yeah. So the story, and it was the same for the forest, original recipe forest.
Yeah.
The story is not.
Well, should we explain the story from the first one, because it does feel like it's a playoff of the first one.
Yeah, so the rough story is, in the first game, you're playing as a man who, his son Timmy and he are on a flight for some
going somewhere.
purpose, right? A commercial flight. The flight gets shot down or brought down, crashes on this remote peninsula, a wooded, foresty peninsula, hence the name. And you quickly find out that you're not alone there. There are people.
Yeah, someone takes your son.
Yeah.
On the plane, and you're like half out of it.
Yeah.
And you kind of come to, and this big cannibal's just holding your son, looking at him.
Yeah.
And then walks away.
And so you're like, well, I got to go save my son, right? And so that's the whole setup. And as it's going on, you find that there's some mysticism, as well as some technology, where it's like some corporation called the Sahara Company.
Yeah.
Are working here to build like underground labs and stuff, because they're working with this artifact, right? And the artifact changes people into these mutants, and potentially affects the minds of people, which is why there's these cannibal tribes there.
Yeah.
And so you're fighting off the cannibal tribes as well as these mutants and trying to find your son. You find your son and you get him out of there. He's dead.
But yeah, when you find him, he's dead.
You have to, I don't want to say reincarnate, revive him, I suppose,
With the artifact.
Yeah, using one of these artifacts. And so it seems to change him a bit.
Yeah. Something don't seem quite
Something's
right.
not quite right with him.
Something ain't right with that boy.
Because the original ending of the game is like you get him back and you're on like a talk show, and tell us about, hey, why don't you chop some wood for us? I wouldn't love that, folks. Get you written a book about your experience, and then your son starts flopping around on the ground having a seizure, and you're like, uh-oh, is he turning into something?
And then it cuts forward.
Yeah, some indiscriminate amount of time, but long enough for Timmy to be a young adult.
Yeah.
And seems to have a drinking problem. He's got a map on the wall that says
it looks like he's in a hotel.
A hotel or a cheap apartment. But he's got a map on the wall that says like Site 2, and so he's looking for this company, right? And so that seems to be what this is.
And that leads up to the current game, Sons of the Forest.
Yeah, is that we're presumably at Site 2. Don't know yet if we're Timmy, but I think we are.
It would make sense.
Yeah.
My only thing is he didn't have because in this one, the character you're playing as kind of rolls down his sleeve and it
says Fight Demons. Yeah.
And we didn't see that in the first one, but then again, that doesn't mean
the tattoo since, or might have been a detail they added later.
We did see in the first one when Timmy does look down at his wrist, you see like something
moving under his skin.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we didn't see that exactly, but
yeah,
again, there might be more lore behind it we haven't
figured out.
Yeah, we haven't finished the story
to figure out.
It could be.
But in this one, a different company like outbid the Sahara Corp.
Yeah.
Called Puff Corp.
Yep.
And so the setup of this one is that you're some sort of task force that's going in to look for the Puffs. Isn't that their last name? Is just Puff? Puffton. Mom and Dad Puffton, who are like the billionaire couple that own this island, or this one is an island. Yeah, it's not a peninsula; it's an island. And their daughter Virginia.
Yeah.
And so you're like, all right, dope. We'll do this. And then something shoots down your plane or your helicopter.
It looks like
bullets
holes.
come ripping through it. It crashes. I do like the setup being dynamic, where your helicopter can crash in. It seems like one of 3 locations, either on the beach, in the forest, or up in the snowy mountain. And you get a buddy, an AI companion named Kelvin.
Oh,
sweetheart
God.
Kelvin.
He's
a doofus. He's at least had his eardrums blown out from the crash. There's blood coming out of his ears, and
he's lost
he's
a few
out
screws.
Of it. Yeah, I think he's had some brain damage. He's not quite playing with a full deck of cards here, because you can't communicate with him other than through writing on a notepad. But you can give him basic commands.
Yeah, like stay here, stay at the shelter, get wood, sticks, rocks, logs, anything like that.
That's the nice thing is like just telling him to go do the tasks that you don't want to spend hours doing. Now, sometimes he frustrates you with not doing it necessarily.
We catch his not sometimes. I will give him a task. I'll say, Kelvin, baby, do me a favor, get some wood,
baby.
I'll turn around, chop a tree, turn around, look back, and he's sitting down by the fire. And I'm just like, Kelvin, what the fuck are you doing?
That's not fucking wood. That's crazy.
He's over here. What did we tell him? What did we say that we because after we built this log house, we gave him the shed.
Yeah,
and we said that we're just gonna make him sleep in the shed.
Yeah,
and we tell him like, Kelvin, you're surviving.
We're living.
Yeah.
Kelvin, you're surviving, baby. We're living.
What a loser.
We're living. And so he is honestly, when he's working right, he's helpful. Yeah, I hope that they work on his AI a bit, because like the meme that I've been seeing, we didn't do it, but a lot of people have been building tree houses. And apparently, if you tell Kelvin to collect wood, sometimes he'll chop down the tree that your tree house is built in,
and it breaks
and it blows the whole house apart. And then I love the fact that when Kelvin does completes a task for you, he'll give you a thumbs up. So there's a lot of videos of him just destroying somebody's home and then being like, thumbs up, baby, and smiling at him and nodding like, yeah, guy did good.
Do you like it?
Thanks, pup. Appreciate you, Kelvin.
Yeah, we got I think a pretty secure base. We got fresh water. We got a river running throughout our base.
That is something that is not in this that was in the original, was like the potability of water.
Yes.
Where you can, as long as you're not drinking seawater, you're Gucci. You can drink, apparently you can drink pond water.
Really?
Yeah. And so I'd be interested to see if they change that. Because like in the first game, you had to either collect rain or boil your water.
Or boil it, yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind that being a feature. Because like we've got turtle shells.
With pond water, I think you should boil it.
Yeah. And even river water, there should be a chance that it makes you sick.
Sure.
Because it's not a guarantee just because it's moving. Right.
But I do like, speaking of the water, we have our canteens, which goes to the 3D printer that we built our base fairly close to. But it's one of the first places you discover on that island. And when we went in there, we had the option to make a 3D mask, which I have.
Yeah, that's supposed to help you appeal to the group of cannibals.
Hasn't
worked
yet.
For us yet. You're supposed to be able to appeal to the cannibals that wear the gold mask. Those types of tribes.
Yeah.
It hasn't panned out for us yet.
Nothing. Then obviously like arrows you can make, grappling hook.
Yeah, the sled,
which I have, which I found out only works in winter. It
works the best in winter.
I don't think it works because
I've seen people using it.
Really?
Yeah, I think you're just using it poorly.
When we were on the big hill and I tried to go down, I slid maybe just a couple feet and then it stopped.
I don't know what to tell you, man. Get good.
I guess so.
And then the other thing was
myself up.
Tech armor.
Yeah. Which they have a schematic of it.
Yeah, up on the wall.
So I feel like it might be important for something.
Yeah, it might be like that's the end goal is like to make a full suit of tech
I'm curious if we'll need it for the story.
Maybe.
Because it looks like, just from the trailers that we were looking at, in the one you see him put his hand in some cutout.
Yeah.
But it looks like he has some armor on, so I'm curious if that's something involved with the tech armor.
Maybe. But yeah, so we're discovering that there's this is like a rich people resort island that Puff Corp has put together of like underground pods, basically cubes, cubicles, I suppose, or I don't know how you want to phrase it, but there's a nightclub and it's a resort. I mean, we've been inside this thing, and it's like a swanky.
And what did I say while we're playing it? It feels very
like
Bond.
a Bond villain.
Yeah, I mean, it's just way too nice.
It's underground.
Yeah, no company.
Kind of shiny. Yeah.
Yeah, no company is gonna put that much.
Yeah, no, not without nefarious purposes. Yeah, you know,
luxury.
And so, like, I had the theory that kind of turned out to be true, that a lot of the mutants or cannibals on the island were probably tourists or residents of those pods.
Which it looked like
in some of the security footage that was what was happening, was they were turning.
So, you know, I'm curious if they have people that, you know, like, oh, come to this island, it's real luxurious, and then, because, I mean...
And they're testing on them.
Yeah, they just went to a dinner, and, like, we walk in this room, right, and there's a bunch of flyers saying, like, come to the dinner hall at, like, 9 p.m.,
this time,
you know, and, like, wear a suit and everything.
Yeah. Are they feeding them something, or are they turning on some artifact that puts out a
and then we went up,
beam?
We went up to that computer room, seeing all the cameras, and you seen them all talking, and then slowly just start, like, twitching and, like, freaking out, and then turning into mutants.
Yeah.
So I am curious to figure out more of, like, why they're doing that, or what, you know, what's the reason behind it.
Yeah. Now, a weird wrinkle is that we've got another AI companion named Virginia, which is the daughter. And she's got 3 arms and 3 legs. And she is oddly sexy.
Yeah.
Like, they've intentionally made her sexy and somewhat sexual, where, like, it feels like she's trying to seduce you at times, where, like, she's
trying. She is.
There ain't no trying.
Don't blow me out of the water.
Yeah, you feel like a weirdo seeing that 3rd leg, and you're like, is that hot?
Yeah.
Like, why do I find this hot? You know, and she's like she does intentional stuff of, like, leaning back against a tree and doing, like, some ballet stretches, and she seems flirty, and she's dancing and, like, splashing in the river and stuff, and you're like,
yeah, I'm over here just trying to build this cabin. Yeah. You know?
It's been a long year, you know.
Been real lonesome lately.
Yeah. And an odd thing that you and I both are like, is when it's raining, her top is for some reason just see through. You can just see this woman's pokies, and you're like, I don't know how I feel about this. This feels like they didn't. Like,
when we first encountered her, she comes up, like, super slowly.
Yeah, and she's
we're
very
both
timid.
Like, we're like, oh,
that's her.
That's her. Let's go run up and, like, try to get her. Yeah, you know, save her and get her.
Yeah, get her to be our companion. And she takes off like a bat out of hell.
So Colin and I,
2 dudes,
are just on pursuit.
Yeah, wearing bones as armor, just in high speed pursuit.
And I'm like, Colin, flank her left, flank her left.
Yeah, we're hurting her like a fucking wild animal.
What is that? What is that?
Like, if we had a lasso, we'd have tied her down, you know, just like, I got her. But yeah, we were laughing too hard at just us booking it through the woods. Yeah. I mean, knocking underbrush, and she's just like a gazelle trying to get the hell out of there. And then we stopped and could not stop laughing about the fact that we're like, we look like creeps. I mean, just, oh my God, you see her? Let's go talk to her. Hey, get back here. What are you doing?
What do you mean? There are no rules, man. We're lost.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, we'll try again later.
We'll call that an audible.
Yeah. We'll call that a loss. And no, come to find out, basically, there's nothing that you particularly do to win her over. She just progressively becomes more comfortable with you over time.
Yeah, she hangs in the...
And eventually now she just hangs out with us.
She'll bring us berries and stuff like that.
Yeah, she goes out and forages. She brought me a dead rabbit.
She's brought me a lot of aloe, which
she's brought me a lot of joy.
She brings me a lot of happiness.
Yeah.
You start twisting your ring.
Yeah. It's got me thinking, you know. Something about that 3rd arm, you know. Think of the possibilities.
Italian with Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah. If Anya Taylor-Joy had 3 legs and 3 arms, stop playing. Yeah.
Be shooting my shot.
Yeah.
In her DMs. What you doing? You up? You at 3 a.m.? You up?
Hey, baby, what that 3rd leg do? You know, you ain't the only thing with 3 legs, if you know what I'm saying. You know?
A fellow tripod.
Yeah. That's horrible.
Oh.
So, anyways, as you can tell, she's a fun companion. But no, you can give her guns.
And she's got 3 arms. She can hold a pistol and a shotgun.
And she fucks.
Yeah.
Like, I watched her headshot a cannibal, and I was like, my God.
What a woman.
A woof, you know? And I mean, she's like, and she sprints fast.
Yeah, she don't mess around. It's that third leg, man.
Yeah, she sees him in there, and she's like on him like stink on shit, and is just dropping
Kelvin, on
bodies.
the other hand, runs.
Yeah, Kelvin's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
He throws his hands over his head.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's like, and it's funny because I can tell when there's cannibals close because you'll see on the mini map, Kelvin's just like in a straight line has disappeared, and I'm like, oh fuck, he's getting chased.
Nice.
We better go help Kelvin out.
There's people after him.
What about the caves?
Oh, the caves are real cool. They're more diverse, I guess, of like what's in them.
Yes, I feel like there's a lot of them that are a bust.
Yeah,
there's a lot of caves where you're like, okay.
Some of the caves are just kind of mid.
There doesn't seem to be an in between. They're either kind of a bust or
really cool,
really intense. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say the ones that are intense are hard.
Yes,
or we're like scraping by.
Died. Yeah, Thankfully, I don't think either of us have died
together
in a cave.
Yeah.
But
we're like, because we're playing co-op, one of us goes down, we can revive each other, and there's times where we're trading, or we've got to let somebody stay down.
Yeah, I'm like, just tell me your health. I got to try to work on these guys a little bit so I can get you up and take these guys out.
Because they stay on you.
Yeah, especially the fingers.
Yeah, and the fingers and the twins.
I hate
twins
the
are
twins.
Scary. They're basically conjoined twins at like the hips,
but there's nothing below the hip.
Well, I mean, there's two. They've got legs.
No, they just have arms. That's the whole gimmick, is they have two arms on each side. And they lift themselves up, and they'll use one arm on each to move, and then they still have two arms up front. But when they attack you, one of them will push up and lean and go to attack you.
Are you certain?
I'm most positive.
Because when you kill them, they rear up entirely.
Well, he still has his hands back there.
They throw all arms up.
I'm telling you, I'm positive.
I think they've got like little feet, maybe.
Little baby legs.
Yeah.
Little
baby legs.
Listen, I'm known to have a baby legs, and that's wrong.
I don't know what that means.
Neither do I.
But yeah, no, they're creepy because they can like crawl on the walls and shit. Mm-hmm. And they're they're fast. But then the ones that scare the piss out of me, honestly, are just like the standard cave mutants.
Yeah, because they
have
got
no face.
Yeah, they
have facial features.
They have like where the eye sockets and where the mouth is supposed to be, but skin's just
skinned over
it. Oh,
and so there's like if you're just super chill and just standing still, they don't know you're there. Mm-mm. But I heard them like make clicking sounds, and I was like, ugh, they're echolocating, and they just kind of start stumbling towards you eventually, and like. I was crafting and I stood up one time and there was one just there like looking at me with no face, and I was like, Jesus. Yeah. And but I didn't freak out. I kept my shit together and just like pulled out a gun. I was like, pop, dropped him.
Dude, they're so tall and lengthy. Yeah. I mean, they just are lengthy.
Lanky.
I got one thing on my mind. They're just tall and lanky. Yeah. But yeah, they're fucking scary, dude.
Yeah.
And something that we saw is the cannibals will tie up the mutants and keep them around, and they'll torture them.
Yeah, they don't like them, which was an interesting dynamic. Yeah. And then we saw one camp that was like overrun by mutants.
Yeah, and we were like, we cannot stick around here because there was like 5 fingers. There's a bunch of the cave dwellers.
They were killing the cannibals.
They were killing the piss out of them, dude.
What about that one night that we were running up to that cave? And there was like 4 legs or 4 twins out,
God.
And like actual cave mutants that had wandered out, and we were like, huh? And we both died because it was not good.
I remember when we were in the cave, and one of the I love it, and it's a love-hate relationship with it. How dark it gets.
Yeah, it's very dark in the caves
because like even with your flashlight, it's still pretty limited, but you do have a lighter that doesn't require anything to have, because with the flashlight you have to have batteries. The batteries drain. You have to find new batteries to recharge, whatsoever. But with the lighter, it's just like a safe haven. Like it doesn't use anything.
Yeah, but it's pretty dim.
And I remember we're in a cave and it's purple. Because it's one of those electric ones, the crosshair ones.
Yeah.
And so I got that thing open and.
Yeah,
and I'm just
like
walking around there, and I just turn around and there's one of the cave dwellers.
Yeah.
And I was just,
yeah.
What was it that one time where I got real ahead of you and you're like, Chris, where are you going?
Yeah.
And then I turned right around and I was like, there's guys here.
Yeah,
and there's just 2 fingers. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the horror is really good in this one.
Yeah, there are times where like I jump so hard it gives you like one of those pain spots on you.
Yeah. Yeah, you pull a muscle from jerking too hard, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I know what you're saying. God, I know what you're saying.
Who has not been there?
I'm living
it's called life. And like there was the one that scared the hell out of me in the compound that like came sprinting up the stairs at me.
Yeah.
And like I made an involuntary, just like I wouldn't have screamed, but it was just like a noise. I was like, you're like, I just shot up the shotgun. I was like, my God.
What was it? The twins that were crawling on the window in the compound?
Yeah.
Ooh.
But yeah, and so like there's a little bit of like an annoyance where, I mean, you figure when we played the first game, the only reason we beat the story is because we looked up how to.
Yeah.
Right? Like, at least stepwise of like, okay, how do we get there?
Yeah, what do we got to do?
And there's some of that here as well of like, there's not a lot of guidance.
Yeah, we knew about the trackers because
it kind of shows you that, which was nice that it at least gives you a nudge.
Mm-hmm. But then after that, we finished all that. We have everything. We've collected everything except for the crossbow.
Yeah.
So, we don't really know where to go.
Yeah, where to keep moving towards.
We just, since we finished that arc, I guess, of the journey so far, we took the winter just to strictly focus on
building
the base, and then that's where we're at.
Now, that's something interesting is the seasons.
I do like the seasons. I
like the fall and the winter.
I love the attention to where you walk.
Yeah, with like the snow.
Because not only with us, but as well as for the NPCs and like some of the enemy AIs, you still see their footprints, and they do get lost in like especially in summer and fall. They'll hide in the bushes and like some of the mutants. So there's the tribes, and then there's the ones that aren't really in a tribe, and they're like naked and they're very dirty.
They're like covered in mud.
Yeah, but they're like their skin color is almost gray.
Yeah,
it doesn't look
kind of. I almost call them like spider monkey. They crawl around and they're springy. They climb up trees and stuff.
Those ones hide in like bushes or just in leaves, and when you walk past them, they'll jolt back. But you can see some of their footprints in the snow, and you're like, something's here.
Around here.
So I just take out my big axe and just start swinging.
Yeah, and I like some of the attention to detail in the seasons of like, in fall there's a lot of leaves on the ground.
Yeah.
Adds to the foliage.
Change.
Yeah, the color changes like it should, and then in the winter, like bodies of water are frozen over, and you can walk on them.
Ponds are frozen over.
Like and some of the smaller streams that aren't moving as fast are frozen over, which was an interesting dynamic of like, and just in general, wildlife is a lot less abundant.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh man, it's kind of hard to. What are we going to eat?
Yeah, what we survived off in winter.
Mostly perishables.
Yeah.
Or non-perishables, I guess.
We'll have to focus more on hunting with the
spring and summer. Yeah, getting a lot of.
Try maybe making like a drying rack.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on it.
But yeah, so far I'm really enjoying it. I really want to see them expand the crafting.
Yes.
The crafting feels pretty minimal compared to like it feels like there's less than there was in the original game. I
do want there to be a little more pre-builds.
Yeah, some more prefabs.
Because they had like a gazebo. So I really would like that again because I just thought that was a cool concept to have.
And I know it's not necessarily their style, but I think they need just a little bit more tutorial. I don't want them to hold your hand because that's not the style.
No, not at all.
But I need a little more guidance sometimes on like, I want to do this, but I don't know how.
Yeah. Like, I have a shit ton of seeds that we could plant to start having our own berries. Don't know how to build a planter. I think it's is on there. Is it? Okay.
Yeah. We just need to mess around. We really haven't messed around with the construction too much.
Too much.
Which we did a lot in the first game. So I'm surprised that we haven't. But because
you and I both really dived in on
the first game.
Well, the in Sons of the Forest so far, just the story behind it of like figuring. We found. I think maybe the majority of the labs that you can go into. Maybe. I could be wrong.
Now, I will say, there's like a whole other section of the map that we haven't explored.
Yeah, so there could be a lot we're still missing. But so far, we've found it.
I saw on somebody's map 4 of those green blips, and we've only been to 3.
Yeah.
So
maybe there's something up in the mountains, but we don't have the proper gear to go up there yet.
No.
We don't have anything to stay
There is
warm.
a winter coat that we can find, though.
So we just have to... Do we have to kill moose for it?
No. Find. Not craft, find.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's in a camp somewhere, I guess. So we'll have to try and wander around a bit.
Yeah, find...
The map, like on your GPS, is nice, but it's easy to get lost on.
Very easy, especially if you die. Yeah, when we die and we respawn, because that is a perk when you die, is when you respawn close, fairly
close. But I like it's almost, I don't want to say in lore, that's not the way, but it's not just a respawn.
Yeah, you wake up. Yeah, you wake up and you're tied up just like the mutants were, and you're able to cut yourself out, and then everyone gets alerted and they look at you, and you got a game time decision to try to fight them or get the fuck out of there because your health is so low.
Yeah. But yeah, I want them to maybe improve on the GPS tracker a bit of like, I should be able to set waypoints in it. Now, granted, you can use the GPS trackers and set them down. Yeah. But I don't know. I need a little bit more.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's not nearly as intuitive as I would like it to be.
Yeah, it didn't tell you labels. It didn't tell you anything about like expanding it or moving it, and I found it on a whim. And was like, oh, do this, and you can make the map bigger so we can kind of see. Because
better.
With the map being so big, there is a plot where you are just in a forest, and that's all you see on the map.
Yeah, and you don't have any bearings.
You have no idea if you're going northwest, southeast, or anything like that. Yeah. But I mean, we're able to just recently figure out how to kind of zoom out a little bit.
The camera or the
GPS
size, now something that was in the first game that's not in this is being able to create your own markers and label it.
Yes.
And so I would like to see that on the GPS because it's literally it's a device. I would think you'd be able to set points of interest. And that's another thing. If the map's going to be that large, I would like them to make, if they are going to add more points of interest, I would like those points of interest to pop up on your map as points of interest, similar to like a lot of open world games. When you discover a location, it gets added to your map. Yeah, because it is a large map, and I think that would help with navigation and help with learning the map of like, okay, that's this village, that's that village.
I will say they do have paths.
Yes, which is nice.
Which is very nice because it gives it a little more of a structure of like where you're going, and you're able to kind of look at it and be like, okay, I can put my GPS away and just know I'm going to follow this path until I hit right.
Or like following streams and stuff.
Right.
If I follow this downstream, it'll eventually lead to the ocean, so I'll find a beach there.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
So, because I mean, that is your only map. So it is nice to be able to be like, okay, I'm following this. I can put that away and pull out my flashlight and have my hatchet still, and so or whatever the case may be.
Right.
To be able to utilize that a little better.
Use my shotgun with two hands, because that was another detail. I don't know if you caught that. Yeah. You fire much slower if your hands are busy. So like if you've got your left hand holding the GPS and your right hand is using the shotgun, you fire one-handed with the shotgun and then like do the one-handed pump like Sarah Connor in Terminator 2. But whereas if you've got both hands, you can, so that's kind of a payoff there, a balance there. And you like deck out your weapons. There's attachments and stuff. But yeah, so far we're really enjoying it.
Yeah. We'll probably be streaming it. Well, now granted, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
For you guys, because you'll guess we hearing this
Wednesday
in a couple days.
Yeah.
I keep thinking today is Monday
It is Monday.
Or Sunday. Excuse me. I keep thinking today is Sunday for whatever reason.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm fucking. I'm so ready to play this. I'm so ready to play it.
So, Chris, you got any more thoughts?
As far from the game, I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving it. I'm excited to see more of the story. To our knowledge, with it still being an early access game, the story mode is finished.
Yeah, it sounds like it's finished, but subject to change potentially.
Which makes me want to finish it more, because I'm like, if they do change it, that's cool. I can go back and play it again and see the different ending that they, or whatever differences they make in the game.
Yeah.
But I love it. I'm really excited, and I'm glad I can play it.
Yeah. Chris, what you been thinking about this week, buddy?
I think what you meant to say is, welcome back to Chris's Cryptid Corner. I'm your host, Chris. And this week, buckle up. We're talking about...
I'm strapped in, baby.
We're talking about the Black-Eyed Children. Not the Black-Eyed Peas. You heard me, the Black-Eyed Children.
Can I tell you something? Morgan and I have done an episode of A Couple of Creeps on the Black-Eyed Children. Yeah, so Morgan and I, my wife, have a podcast called A Couple of Creeps. And if you like what you hear about the Black-Eyed Children, you can hear some more over there.
Absolutely. But as far as what I have here pulled up for us, just give a little bit of a description of what the Black-Eyed Children are. Black-eyed children are an idiosyncratic phenomenon involving eerie kids with ghostly pale white skin and pitch black eyes going around asking their victim for seemingly harmless favors. Mm-hmm. Usually these kids involve asking the person if they can come into their location of either home, car, whatever it may be, to get in contact with their parents.
Yeah, kind of vampire-esque of asking permission to enter.
Because they usually have to be invited to come inside, some have speculated that the black-eyed children are vampires because of the validation, since the validation is limited.
Yeah.
Some have even said that the black-eyed children are regular children who have been demonically possessed or human/alien hybrid.
Yeah.
Which that to me is very interesting. That's kind of where I'd like to toy on it.
Yeah.
So here, obviously we kind of got a pretty good description of what they look like. They're just going to be kids with pale skin black eyes and black eyes. But I do have
not like black. Not like they've been punched, but like their eyeballs are fully black.
Yeah, like the pupil, iris, and retina, all retina are all black.
Yeah.
But here I do have a couple sightings that are kind of a little spooky that I wanted to read for us here. Let me see. On November 19th, 1992, a man was watching a movie with his wife while his children were sound asleep in their rooms upstairs. It was around 1:30 a.m. when the movie was finished. So he said he decided to go up to bed after the movie was over, and suddenly he heard a loud pounding on the front door. And what stood behind the door changed his life forever. There stood a boy and a girl, about 8 and 11, respectively, who had never looked up when they were standing barefoot in the Michigan winter, excuse me. Despite his anger of why the children were outside at this late of an hour in this condition of weather, barefoot, the man allowed the children to enter and allowed them to use their phone to call their parents. But when he lent them the phone, they were gone. In a dead silence, he heard the first scream come from upstairs in his bedroom. When the man reached his wife's room, he was met by a devastating sight of his wife in a pool of blood. Terrifying sounds, bones snapping and flesh ripping, and he saw the bare feet of the children. Before he could act, the bare feet children moved swiftly into the kids' room and locked the door. Despite the man's best efforts, he could not help his children and stood helpless behind the door. When the act was done, the door slowly creaked open, and there stood the barefooted children, covered in blood. They stood defiantly with awful grins in their eyes and compelling him, where he quotes that he thinks he saw the devil himself.
So just a triple homicide.
It could be.
Yeah.
Definitely could be. The other one I had was, there's a couple in here where it's like it had an instance, like I'll read one that wasn't, it didn't sound phony, but some of these sound more recent, and it's like, I think like
it'd make news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll read one of them, and we'll go from there. So this one is The Boy by the Truck. Mm-hmm. On March 17th of 2008, 12-year-old boy had a bone-chilling experience in an outlet parking lot while waiting for his mom in the truck. Mm-hmm. The mother was getting a haircut, and he saw the boy walk across the parking lot. The mother, thinking it was a friend from school, the boy was banging on the window until the other boy opened it up. The mother didn't think anything of it. Realizing that it wasn't his friend, the boy in the truck watched in confusion as the strange kid walked up and stared through the window. The boy caught one glance at the other boy's solid black eyes, and he knew he was staring at the face of evil. "You must let me in," the black-eyed boy demanded. Panicked, the boy in the car crouched under the glove compartment. After several minutes, the black-eyed kid finally vanished. When the boy's mother returned back to the truck, she informed her son that the black-eyed child had come into the salon demanding the keys for the vehicle. Thankfully, the boy's mother denied.
Yeah.
That one's a little more scary, but that seems like in broad daylight, and so maybe it could happen, but I feel like in an outlet parking lot.
Well, but I mean, I think that's I don't want to say like it's very scary, right? For like if that were to truly happen, that'd be freaky, right? But it's not significant enough that, I mean, I think that's plausible that like even if you chalk that up to just a fucking weird kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just somebody being a weirdo who's not quite right.
No. Give me the keys.
Yeah, that could happen. Right? No, fuck off.
Yeah, no, kid. Where are your parents?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you like to know, weather boy?
Yeah.
And let's see. I'll read one more here.
Yeah.
Let me see.
So far, you're 2 for 3 of stories that Morgan did not tell. So when you started that first one, it sounded like similar to one that she told, and I was like, oh no.
This one's called Did the Cat Go Away? In early November 2012, a woman was up late watching a movie with her cat when it suddenly leaped off of her lap. The woman was left stunned as she followed her cat into the laundry room, but the cat refused to leave from its spot between the machines. Suddenly, the woman heard knocks on her door and figured it was late trick-or-treaters. When she opened the door, the woman was met by 2 children, a boy and a girl. However, there was something strange about the children who had just knocked there. They just stood there, looking into her house, not wearing costumes, holding out buckets. The boy suddenly asked the woman if her cat had left, which concerned the woman.
Yeah.
Then the girl whispered to the woman, "We need to get inside." The boy... We need to get inside.
Yeah, no you don't.
Nah, not likely. The boy was staring at her and grinning. Feeling fearful, she noticed that their eyes were completely black. The woman shut the door and called the police. The police only found footprints that led into the forest behind the woman's home. It wasn't until months later that the woman found a makeshift bed in her gardening shed.
Oh. Don't like that.
Yeah, someone was fucking sleeping there.
Yeah. Now that scares me, not because of these black-eyed kids, but just the idea of, like, these is not like these weird, potentially, like, otherworldly children. It's just the idea that, like, somebody she doesn't know living in her shed. Like, just a person that's there unwelcomed.
Do we want to talk about what happened the other day?
No. Creeps the shit out of me.
That was creepy.
Yeah. All right, well, now that you brought it up.
Yeah, we got to talk about it.
Yeah. Chris ran to get ice cream, and Morgan and I were sitting on the couch watching TV, and where I sit, I can see the front door, and our front door has, like, a crystalline glass on it, where it's kind of like that frosted where you can't really see through it, but you can see,
like a silhouette.
Yeah, shape and color, but not detail. Mm-hmm. You have to, like, be pressed against it with your eyeball to see through it. The dogs kind of walked over to the door and were acting like they heard something or somebody was there, and so I was like, but they weren't mad or aggressive, so I was like, oh, Morgan, will you get the door? Because I saw somebody, or, like, you know, a shadow shift at the door, and I thought it was you fumbling with your keys because you had your hands full with the ice cream. So I'm like, oh, Morgan, will you get the door for him? And she goes, oh, yeah. And she gets up, she goes over, and she opens the door, and there's nobody there.
What if we let a ghost in?
Well, she didn't open the door, like the outside door.
Oh, okay, we're good.
But she was like, there's nobody there. And I went, are you sure? And she goes, yeah. And she goes, the car's not even here. And I go, shut that door. And she goes, huh? And I was like, I swear I saw somebody at that door. And so she shut it and locked it and was like standing there for a while, kind of looking. And I was like, oh, man.
As soon as I got home, I took a look around.
Yeah, you came home and like 20 minutes later, and I told you about it, and you're like, oh, what? And you go out there and are standing on the sidewalk looking, and I'm like,
well, I was looking around to see if there's anyone suspicious just sitting there. I mean, because we know the cars that sit around our house. I mean, I was seeing if there's any car that didn't look recognizable or was just on. Right?
But then I know... What? I know that in the past, the flag has waved and freaked me out because I see the shadow of it. Uh-huh. The flag's down. That was the thing that was keeping me comfortable, was I was like, I bet it was the flag, because the flag's done it to me before. The flag got tore up in the windstorms.
We need to put a fucking other deadbolt on that door.
We need to booby trap that door.
Bill and Frank it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a shotgun at head level, when you step through the threshold. No.
I saw this meme.
That's actually illegal, like, to booby trap your home.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, it's also a war crime to lay booby traps.
I mean, it's pretty cool, though. Like,
yeah,
But that was the Black Eyed Children. I thought it was really, really interesting.
Yeah.
To read those, a little spooky.
Yeah.
But
no sounds?
No,
dude,
I mean, they don't
Get
have any sounds. They don't have any sounds.
No,
Let me see.
I'm teasing you. Hey, I'm teasing you. You gotta ask me the question, bub.
What you been thinking
about?
Huh?
I can't hear you, but you gotta actually ask me.
What you been thinking about, baby?
Morgan and I have been binge watching Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
I know that last week I brought up that, like, I really want to watch. We watched a couple episodes. Baby, I've been watching it.
Yeah, like, you guys will suck me in on it, like a full, like, what was it?
You just stood in place.
Yeah, I came downstairs and we're talking. You guys were watching Ted Lasso, and I just stood there and watched an episode.
Because they're super digestible. They're 30 minutes long, and, like, they've got a really good balance of being, like, adult, I mean, there's swearing and all that, and it is, like, I mean, Morgan and I are, like, just super into it, and we're like, oh, I just love it, I love how you can see them getting better as a team, and, we're, like, fully invested, and it's, like, a nice balance of, like, wholesome, Yeah, I mean, it is genuinely wholesome. But then there's some more human stuff in there of like, Ted has some flaws, you know, and he initially comes off as a character that is like, he's just a all around good, perfect person, right? You know, and you're finding that he does have flaws. It's like, oh,
everyone does.
Turns out he's a human, you know, and one of his flaws is like that need to be just a genuinely good guy. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh yeah, you know, but he's full of like good, like isms, you know what I mean? He's just a nice guy. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just, I don't know how to recommend it other than to say it's, like I said, super digestible, easy to watch, easy to binge. You get really invested in a lot of the characters. And you just, you know, it's all about an American football coach getting hired by a UK, like Premier League football, you know, we would call it soccer in America, you know, league team, and being hired as their coach. And he's never played soccer a day in his life, you know, but he took the job on, you know. And so it's more about him, like, learning how to coach these boys, you know, and then seeing the things that he teaches them of, like, you know, being a coach is more than just teaching them how to throw the ball or kick the ball.
Kick the ball back to each other.
You know, there's family. Yeah, it's about, you know, guidance in life, right? And things like that. And it is nice to see, like, them grow as teammates and characters where you're like, I'm invested in, like, Sam, you know, and all these people. And it is nice to see just all of them come together. And like Morgan always says, it's nice to see the team get closer, you know. And it is. It's genuinely just a nice, heartwarming show that, you know, gets you misty-eyed every once in a while and all that good stuff. But, you know, I definitely recommend Ted Lasso. And once I burn through it, the third season premieres on the 15th of March.
Perfect.
And we're on pace to watch that when it airs. So that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
But you been thinking about anything other than Black Eyed Kids?
Black Eyed Peas? No.
Pump it louder, louder.
I really want to go to more concerts this year.
Yeah.
I think I've talked about that before. That's still something I want to do, as well as I've recently been
baptized.
No.
Circumcised?
I started. Yeah. No. I don't think so. No. Wait, what? No, but I recently watched The Terminal with Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
That's a really good movie.
A good movie.
And then I really want to watch.
Is it Up in the Air?
Is that with Captain Sully?
No, that's called Sully.
Is it called Sully? That's the next one I really want to watch.
No, Up in the Air is with Anna Kendrick and George Clooney, and it's a really good movie about like them having to fire people.
Oh.
But yeah, Anna Kendrick, I'm pretty sure got nominated for an Oscar for that movie.
I still haven't seen Interstellar. Yeah, I know, and I fucking love space.
Yeah,
and I don't know why I haven't seen it.
Dude, we're watching that.
Well,
not tonight.
Yeah, right. So we're playing Sons of the Forest tonight, but
maybe some of us work around here.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode.
Just wrap it up. But no, is that all you got?
That is all I got.
All right. Again, we want to thank you guys so much for your attention and support. If you guys enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a great review. Tell your friends about us. Share us on social media.
Yeah.
Word of mouth obviously is a big help right now. Make sure you're liking, following, subscribing on your audio streaming service of choice. That way you get notifications when we post our episodes. We have talked about doing some video game streams.
Yeah.
We don't have those set up, so we don't have any official channels to send you to, but you know, keep an ear out for that. That is something that we'd like to set up, because if we're going to be playing Sons of the Forest anyways, we might as well.
Yeah, might as well stream it. Yeah.
Might as well make it content, you know. Chris, if people want to get in touch with us, give us some feedback or ask us questions, talk to us about some games they'd like to see us stream, things like that. How would they do that?
You can always take a look at us. You know, our Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, our YouTube is going to be Simply Whelmed Podcast. Our Twitter handle is whelmed_simply. And of course, you can shoot us an email regarding any questions, concerns. I feel a sneeze coming on. You can always reach out to us on our email with any questions, concerns about the video games, or any games that you wanted to see. Give us
tell us about your experience trying to buy the forest.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us your worshipness. Give us your kidneys, your firstborn. But you can always just leave that down in the details. Yeah, with the security number and the 3 numbers on the back.
Yeah,
gotta have those V-Bucks.
Yeah.
But you can definitely let us know at simplywhelmedmailbag@gmail.com.
That's right. Next week, we're going to be talking about the premiere of The Mandalorian Season 3, which airs actually this Wednesday, the same day this episode goes out. So by the time you're listening to this, if you care about The Mandalorian, you've probably watched it, or you're getting ready to. So don't tell us anything.
No, no, please, God.
But I'm excited. It's just
it's a good year for Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, this is the year of Pascal.
Yeah. What was it? Last year was the year of Oscar Isaac.
Was it?
Because what? Dune came out.
Dune, Moon Knight,
Moon Knight, and he did something else too. I can't remember.
He had a show with Jessica Chastain.
What was that? I'm gonna bite your tits off with my teeth.
Yeah, that wasn't that, but yeah.
That's still in the meme.
yeah.
That's an order. I'm gonna gangbang
you all by myself.
I'm gonna gangbang you all by myself.
But yeah, it is. It's a good year for Pedro. We've also got The Last of Us wrapping up here soon.
Yeah,
I think we got 2 more weeks. Mm-hmm. So we'll probably do an episode about that. Because we
haven't yet.
Yeah, we talked about the premiere, I think, and then that was it. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, we got a lot to dive in there.
Yeah, definitely. So that'll probably be a long one because there's a lot to talk about.
We'll have to brace for that one.
Yeah, but it might be one of those episodes that we don't do any news.
Yeah, I can not do a cryptid or anything. We can just focus.
Talk about The Last of Us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's everything that we've got coming up here shortly. Next week is our official 1 year.
Yes.
So this is our 52nd episode, but I got to thinking about why it didn't pan out. Our 53rd episode will be the week where there's been 52 episodes since our first one. So yeah, I was always like, this is our 1 year, but it's not. It's next week. So I don't know. We might have to do something special, light a cake or something.
Yeah. That is a big accomplishment.
It is.
We've
done this.
Yeah, we
didn't skip a week. And that's through holidays and strife and all
sickness
of that.
And health.
Yeah. It's a real merit, baby. Here's to 20 more, But,
cheers.
So that's the end of the show, Chris. You tell everybody bye.
Bye.